What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host, once again, Dan Thornton. Want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition, and we've got a bit of a conversation to have here today. Lions, as you guys know, got one game left in the regular season. Where do we go after there? There are going to be a whole lot of things on the table. If you watched yesterday's MCDC presser, you could hear it in his own words. Everything's going to be on the table this offseason as far as review. Who's in, who's out, where are they going to go in free agency? What are they going to do in the draft? All those things in between. And I think a few different aspects that will be considered will be new replacements, I guess we could say, for both the offensive coordinator, which we talked about a couple shows ago, but then also the defensive coordinator spot. It's nothing against Kelvin Shep'S. I think for a first-year guy with all the injuries he had to face for the defense, especially in that secondary, he probably did a whole lot of good things. But let's also be fair. Dan Campbell is the head coach of this team. And one thing I can tell you, like all head coaches are definitely aware of, as soon as you sign on that dotted line, become the head coach, you're hired to be fired. That's right. Dan Campbell has renaissanced this organization, this franchise, from the ashes of the NFL, from the bottom tier of the NFL, maybe you could say in all pro sports in North America, to be one of the prominent NFL teams. But people have short memories when it comes to winning. This year, the Detroit Lions, win or lose on Sunday against the Bears, it's not going to be the ideal season that everybody had in store. Because of that, though, Dan Campbell may have to make a move to replace Kelvin Shep'S as the defensive coordinator. I'm not sure if he will, but I think he's going to look into it. I think he is going to replace John Morton. I think he is going to address some things from the personnel standpoint with Brad Holmes for this team. Everything's on the table, said Dan Campbell. Before we get into this a little bit more, and then 5 headlines now, real quick, if I may. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 2 subs away from hitting 16,000. Correction. We just hit 16,000. So live on air, we just hit 16,000. I guess we're 100 subs away now from 16,100. Either way, if you can help out with that, that would be great. So, hey, thank you for everybody being a part of the Do Crew. Also, if you have a half second of time, free of charge, reach on down, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more. Thumbs up or likes. Last, never least, if you watch the show at all, you probably already know this one. If you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, where I reside, or the continental United States of America, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. Been a realtor for over 30 years, 269-998-2384. We'll have a conversation how I can work for you, save you hassle, save you money, the whole shebang and bang. Go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. And yes, we'll make sure you get an outstanding deal on buying or selling property. All right, all that done, out of the way, let's get into this. If you had to talk about it, what are your thoughts about Kelvin Shep'S' first year? Let's be as fair as we can be. There were moments it looked real good. There's also moments not so good. In fact, historically bad. Over the last 6 weeks of the NFL season, if you can name a team that gave up more yards than the Detroit Lions, I would love to hear it. Lions had at one point 3 straight games of giving up over 500 total yards. That's an insane amount. Pittsburgh Steelers, use that as an example, gave up over 500 yards, 200 and whatever it was, 60 yards rushing. We get it. The rush defense had not been great for the Detroit Lions the back half of the schedule. Because of that, that's probably why the Detroit Lions are not going to be in the playoffs. Giving up that kind of yardage consistently will not win you games. We saw it last year when we went 15-2. A big part of the reason we went 15-2 is Dan Campbell just said, hey, I am gambling man Dan. I'm going to go for it on every fourth down. And last year, let's be honest, the Lions really succeeded on fourth down, allowing the offense to stay on the field and kept the defense sidelined. This year, the fourth down conversion rate wasn't great. Meant the defense had to be on the field more. And with all the different injuries, plus growing and maturing defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shep'S got exposed a little bit. This brings up the thoughts, as you can see from the main topic of the day thumbnail. Clean this one. There are two gentlemen I would like to throw out at you guys. Let me know your thoughts. One is going to be somebody we see all the time, Brian Flores with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I do want to say this. Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings head coach, has already come out and said, we're going to do everything we can to retain him. But that doesn't mean he can't be bought, can't be had. Remember, coaching is a profession. It is your employment. It's going to be a bidding war for him. I think Flores has more than earned it. Yes, he's been a head coach before. Didn't pan out, but he's renaissanced his career, revitalized it by being one of the best defensive coordinators across the National Football League. Plays a style of defense that you really need some time to prepare for in practice. The Lions going into the Christmas game, we talked about in that short week, it was going to be an impactful situation for him because you only have a couple practices really to get ready for it. And the Lions have a younger offensive line, struggles with communication issues, already. Now you're going to exacerbate that by forcing them to do a bunch of stuff they normally don't do, and they don't do well. Could you wrestle him away from the Minnesota Vikings? My humble opinion, and I want to see what you guys have to say, I think you should try. I don't know if you'll be able to outbid the Minnesota Vikings, but if Sheila Ford Hamp really is committed to this organization being consistent, being in the front of the NFL, having a chance at a Super Bowl, you need to make moves like this. And again, no disrespect to either John Morton or in this situation, Kelvin Shep'S, but do they have the experience that both Flores or the next gentleman we're going to talk about will have? The next gentleman is Todd Bowles. He is currently the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. There's a whole lot of words going around in Tampa Bay and throughout Florida with Bucs fans that he's on his way out. He's been a part of the team, won a Super Bowl as a defense coordinator, and at multiple different spots across his NFL coaching career, he's led teams to top 10 defensive finishes. One of the best minds out there, a completely different type of defensive coordinator than Flores, but both gentlemen would bring know-how and wisdom that currently Kelvin Shep'S, the only way you get it as a coach is to get out there, trial and error, and take some time. Do the Detroit Lions have the type of time for him to develop? Shep'S, that is. If I'm MCDC, like I was saying earlier in the opening monologue, you understand this. You're as good as your past season, your past game. If the Lions were to go out in 2026 and struggle again, Dan Campbell is probably close to being out of here. As much as everybody loves him, let's face it, there are Lions fans already after one season, they're saying we should move on from him. Imagine if it was 2 seasons of that. Probably both Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes would face a whole lot of tunes, a whole lot of music. The national media, let alone the fan base, would probably turn against them. Not everybody for sure, but in coaching, like I said earlier, one of the first things I ever learned was from one of the greatest coaches I ever had the opportunity to work for, and that was over at Western Michigan University, Bob Donewald Sr. Bob Donewald Sr. had worked for, Bobby Knight and other people, and he told me throughout his career that, hey, as soon as you get hired, you have to understand if you're not winning, you are out of a job. And that is something I think if I'm Dan Campbell, if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm considering a whole lot this offseason. What makes the team better? Answer me this, Duke Crew, or anybody watching this live or later on in the day. If you were to compare Kelvin Shep'S to either of these two individuals, Todd Bowles or Flores, who do you think is the best option there? Do you keep with the guy you have because of loyalty? Or do you feel that either of these other gentlemen would be a significant upgrade? My personal opinion does not need to be yours. Don't let me influence you. But if I could go with one of them, it would be Brian Flores. I'm an aggressive coach by nature, an aggressive human being when it comes to X's and O's. And I just think anytime you can get people to second guess themselves, even if it's for a half second, that half second in pro sports, in any sport, is a massive advantage. Watching Flores throughout the year, do I think he has as good a talent in Minnesota as you would have in Detroit? My overall answer is no. I think the Detroit Lions overall have better talent. Not egregiously, but I think, assuming Kirby Joseph comes back, T.A. comes back, Brian Branch comes back, when they're healthy, I think he's going to have overall better talent here in Detroit, plus whatever you're going to do in free agency of the draft. So that's probably got to be enticing to him. Todd Bowles, again, he plays a little bit different schematically, not as aggressive, wants more of his front four or sometimes front five to get after the quarterback, not so many blitz setups, but he does a great job with the X's and O's of it all. And I think either gentleman would be a significant upgrade to Detroit. Just use this current season as your baseline example. If either one of these gentlemen were the defense coordinator this year, not a first-year guy learning, do we get one or two more wins? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. My personal opinion, for whatever it's worth, I think you probably get about 2 more wins. And that's part of the issue the Lions are facing. It's not like they're egregiously far off of being the same record as the Green Bay Packers or the Chicago Bears or the LA Rams or whoever else you want to throw out in the NFC. So it's 1 or 2 small details that will make that difference, that will take you from an 8-win team to a 10, 11, 12-win team. Is there a whole lot of difference in the roster structure this year versus last year? There is some. I think we're all going to say, hey, Frank Ragnow being out, Zeitler not being back this year impact the offensive line, even though I think Tate Ratledge did a great job. Is he currently, as a rookie, the same as Zeitler? Probably not. And whoever you're going to put in the center wasn't going to play the same as Frank Ragnow. I think most would agree with that. So anything the Lions can do to win those 1 or 2 little nuances in the roster, in the coaching staff, that will help you get those extra 2 or 3 wins, that's what you're playing for, and that's what Sheila's paying for right now. You're going to have to give up a big bag of cash to get any good defensive coordinator because nobody wants to let them go. Unless they do something to upset the owner, the current head coach they work for, they're a prized commodity because especially on defense, just like it is on offense, but defense maybe a little bit more, it is an X's and O's scheme. You are constantly, with all the rules favoring the offense, trying to find little nuances to get those 1 or 2 plays a game that change the course of the game. You could go back to the Christmas Day game, the fiasco that was. 1 or 2 plays by our defense could have changed the game from a loss to a win. 1 or 2 plays by our offense holding up a little bit more, maybe not letting Goff getting sandwiched or whatever you want to point out. How much does that impact the overall schemes of the game? Is there anybody else you feel like the Lions should look at as a new defensive coordinator? My opinion is Flores is going to be the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league next year. He's going to get a big bag of cash, whether it's from the Vikings or somebody else. I don't know if he'll get a head coaching opportunity. I'm sure he's going to want one, and maybe he'll get interviewed for him. If he gets it, hey, great. You're not going to beat that out unless you're going to fire Dan Campbell and hire Brian Flores, which, I don't think that's going to happen this year. But if, Dan Campbell is grossly aware at this point, same as Brad Holmes, they need to hit this offseason. They need to get back to the playoffs next year and have some success. Otherwise, there's going to be a whole lot of people probably talking about them this next offseason and saying it's time to move on. All right, that's what I got for the main topic of the day. Now we're going to transition over to the 5 headlines now. Told you guys a few weeks ago, I was going to try to mix it up a little bit. I know some people prefer the 5 headlines now and then the main topic of the day. Other people just want to get to the main topic and then, get the 5 headlines now. So this particular day, we're going to go with 5 headlines now second, and here we go. In my humble opinion, and you guys let me know your thoughts, this is going to be the busiest Lions offseason ever. I know there's a whole lot of people talking about the salary cap, but I got good news. I think the salary cap is going to be pretty good for Detroit by the time we get to free agency. We'll talk about that in coming weeks. I've been working on it a little bit. All right, first one of the 5 headlines now. Day to day, the Lions share in on star wide receiver Amon-Ra by Josh Helmer, Lions Wire. If you didn't know, St. Brown's beat up. If you didn't see it with your own eyes this season, he's got a whole lot of injuries. He got a shoulder injury, left hand injury, ankle injury, a knee injury. He's beat up. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I know St. Brown. You guys probably know it. I'm paraphrasing, summarizing this story, he's going to go out and want to play. I mean, just how he's wired. That's why you love him as a Detroit Lion. If that guy had a, I don't know, a broken leg, a broken hand, I don't know, whatever else, he's probably still going to try to play. And this is where I think the Detroit Lions organization just needs to step up and say, hey, this season is lost. I understand trying to, we talked about it yesterday with the show, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell having completely different views on how to address the Chicago game to end the season. In my view, you could see it in the presser yesterday with Dan Campbell. He's more or less been instructed. If anybody's hurt, they're not playing, of significant notice. I think this needs to transcend to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions want to win that game. Dan Campbell wants to win the game. No coach, no player wants to walk out there as lame ducks and go into the offseason with a bad taste in their mouth. They want to win to try to have a little less bad taste in their mouth. St. Brown, though, he's pretty beat up. I think maybe it would be in his best interest to sit down, let Tesla, I don't know, maybe Dominic Lovett or some other guys go out there. I have no idea what the Chicago Bears are going to do. My guess is probably by, I don't know, another day or two, we'll probably have a pretty good idea what they're going to do with their roster, but they're not playing for a whole lot. It could be who can rest more this game. All right, Lions may not have the resources to fix what ails them. Sideline report, multiple different reporters on this one. Their opinion isn't necessarily my opinion. I do think the Lions, you could probably put together a top 5 list of things they need to address. And per this report, they're not sure if the Lions can do all of that. What I can say is they do point out the Lions need cash and not worried about the salary cap. What do they mean about that? And I agree with this point. There's a big difference between an ownership committee saying, hey, we'll let you spend this amount of money versus what you have on the books available to you with the salary cap. Different things completely. Not every ownership group is interested in spending money to try to win games. Some are just trying to, hey, make money for their bank account, not worry about the product on the field. This will be a key offseason. The one thing I would agree with this report for Sheila. Sheila needs to step up and say, whatever you need, that's what you spend to try to get this team where we need to go. Why do I say that? Who are you competing against? Chicago Bears are willing to spend money. They've made that abundantly clear for decades. Now, we can all talk about who they've invested money in, either a coach, player, whatever, and they've missed on a whole lot of stuff. They hit this offseason, so you know what? They're at where they're at because, in part, a 4th place schedule. They've made some great additions. They, got some balls to go their way, etc. The Lions need to follow that up. Sheila needs to step up. The Green Bay Packers, you already know, they will spend money. Their job and objective per their stock shareholders is they're out there to win. They're not out there to make a big profit. They're out there to win. And the Minnesota Vikings, I feel like, fall in the same boat. The nice thing about the NFC North is every team and ownership historically has always been about spending money and trying to win Super Bowls. Sheila, if she's really into it to win it, this will be a big off season. The checkbook's got to be open. I agree with this story fully on that. Now, how you manipulate the salary cap, everybody can tell you different things about it. What I can say, and it's not exactly in this story, the salary cap to a certain degree is a fallacy. If you are good at working numbers around, you can put 29 different dudes on there making $100 million and just Scooby-Doo the books. Hey, you're going to get paid this year, not so much that year, etc. We'll see what they do from here. All right. Which Detroit Lions starters could sit against Chicago Bears? Christian Boer, SI.com. We're going to be hearing a whole lot about this over the next couple of days. Dan Campbell kind of talked about it a little bit in the presser yesterday. While he wasn't specific about it, you could tell somebody had been talking to him. My anticipation is that would be Brad Holmes about who can and can't play. He didn't want to go into specifics. Anytime the reporters kind of in person kind of asked him about it, he was quick to jump onto a different topic or just say next or point to the next reporter. I'm not sure how many guys are actually going to get to the field. Now, you have to play some because you cannot sit everybody unless all of a sudden the Lions going to sign a bunch of people off the streets to come in and fill roster spots and then put Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, and whoever else you want to list. Unless you're going to put them all on the IR so you open up roster spots, somebody's going to play. Now, who that is, if you're really just going to tank this game, it probably needs to start with your quarterback and then Penei Sewell, maybe Tate Ratledge. I don't know. Make that offensive line as vulnerable as possible in which case you feel for whoever's going under center. You probably need to put Gibbs out of the game, Hutch out of the game, and you guys could probably list 2 or 3 other people. It could be who is the best team standing on Sunday, because I do think the Chicago Bears are going to rest some players. Let's say each team can probably take 8 players off their lineup for the game. That's probably where you're going to be about capped at. If I had to ask you, Duke Crew, who are the 8 players you would sit? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I've given you some of mine, and probably not a complete list, but I do think the Lions have been instructed, or I should say the coaching staff for the Lions have been instructed, don't try to win the game. We'll see if that holds up, though. I could be wrong. All right, Detroit Lions general manager Brad Holmes stopped cooking. SI.com, story about John Macarone. I think there will be one of the biggest things analyzed this offseason is what the point of this story is. Can we say that the coaching staff, Kelvin Shep'S, since we're talking about defensive coordinators for this particular episode at the start of it, was he given enough resources to make the defense strong? Can we say the same for the offense? Did Brad Holmes change this coaching staff by not making some moves? I've been on record talking with you guys, and I know a lot of you guys have pointed out to your own degrees this particular season. It all started, in my opinion, where things went south this season is when Frank Ragnow waited through free agency, then the draft to say, hey, I'm deciding not to come back and play. And I also think that upset a lot of people with the Lions organization. When he came back, the hamstring injury, do I think he could have played through it? Probably. Maybe needed an extra couple weeks to get back. Obviously, it wasn't bothering him that much. I get the degree of it, but also look at the Lions' PR response to it. Hey, we wish you well. You're always going to be a Lion. There was nothing about the future, nothing about, hey, just keep working out. We're signing you or something like that. I think that upset a lot of people. And Brad Holmes, did he do anything to really replace him? And that's probably the first shoe to fall for this season. We can all say what we want about the pass rush, but per John Macarone's story, Brad Holmes could have done 1 or 2 things to probably really help this team. And probably the offensive line, the pass rush would have been the first things out there, most would say. What's he going to do from here? He's going to have more eyes on him than probably any GM in pro sports, because the Lions have enough tools to be a Super Bowl team. They just don't have enough correct tools to be a competitive team consistently with all the injuries they've had. He's had some whiffs in the draft. I think we all get it. He's had some real home runs too. Got to give him his flowers on that. He's had some real good drafts, but the last couple drafts, maybe not as big a home runs. We all know a couple of years ago, he went for Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Giovanni Manu. And to be honest, I like Manu. I think, did you maybe overpay in hindsight a little bit for him? Probably. Broderick Martin, you paid a bit for, and that just didn't work out, and he hasn't worked out for any NFL team. Hendon Hooker, I understand why you rolled the dice on him. The upside was there. It just didn't pan out. But unfortunately, people remember your misses as a GM far more than they remember your hits. He's hit some massive home runs for us, made some great trades, moves, acquisitions. But those misses, if they ended up being marginal players, even coming in to help stabilize positional groups, not necessarily home runs, how much different could this season have been? That's the downside of being a general manager or coach. People only remember your mistakes. All right, last of the 5 headlines now. Do not expect the Lions to trade Jared Goff this offseason or ever. It's almost impossible. A to Z Sports, Mike Payton with this one. If you're going to move off Jared Goff, I'll summarize this. This is the offseason. It's got to happen. Why is that? Because if you are going to restructure his contract, it's going to make him the immovable object going forward the rest of that contract. There's just going to be too much dead cap, too much money tied up, fully secured. How are you going to word it when we get to next training camp? If Jared Goff's here, then we all need to understand this. He's not leaving the Detroit Lions the rest of this particular contract. Maybe ever. If they do restructure his contract, that's going to be the downside of it. If they just say, hey, we're going to eat it all this year, that opens up a real interesting conversation. Do they have some sort of plans to move off JG somewhere in the future, whether this upcoming season or the season after that? Pay attention to it. Jared Goff, my humble opinion, he's probably here to stay. I know there are some of you that don't like him. I'm not here to change your mind if you don't like him. I just think we need to understand this. If you're keeping Jared Goff, you need to play to his strengths. You're making a major financial investment and a future to this team through Jared Goff. That means the offensive line has got to be priority number 1. You've got to get it back to where he has 2.5 to 3 seconds to throw, to where the running backs are getting hit a yard beyond the line of scrimmage, not behind the line of scrimmage. In past years, our running backs had a real good time because they could get first contact 1 or 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, the line of gain, where this year, I mean, you guys seen it. More often than not, they were getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. Ratledge is going to have to ascend. Dan Campbell talked about that yesterday. Same with Christian Mahogany or Frazier, whoever's going to be there. And then you're going to have to address the center position. It's my anticipation. Graham Glasgow, Taylor Decker, probably like a lot of you guys, this is their final game if they play on Sunday. Dan Campbell did say he didn't think Glasgow was going to play, so take him off the board. He's probably already working towards retirement. What happens from here? You make the offensive line priority, then the investment in Jared Goff is probably reasonable. If you're not going to prioritize it, then in my opinion, or Mike Payton's opinion, I should say, Jared Goff doesn't make sense for this team because you know what? He needs certain things to be successful. You're hanging him out to dry. You're hanging the financial books for the organization out to dry if you don't address the offensive line. All right, that's it for the 5 headlines. Now let's get over to what you guys got to say in the Duke Crew. I'm not sure if Anthony is joining us today. He hasn't said one way or the other. Anthony from Roar the Lions UK. We'll see if he shows up. If he is, we'll make time for him for sure. All right, let me scroll to the top of the screen. There you go. Greetings, salutations, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. Exclamation one pride. Woo! Back at you. Whoa, good morning, Duke Crew. One more for the road. Woo! Hey, you got to have one more for the road, right? Oops, there goes my watch. Let's see, Clark Griswold. Nothing against Shep'S. I just don't believe he was really ready for the job. Anytime you're going to be a coach or probably like a player, right? Like use Tate Ratledge, for example, or, Tyreek the Freak Williams or Tesla. How much better are they going to be next year than this year? And I do think they're all going to be pretty good or better next year. But to your point, Shep'S, he's going to be noticeably better, I would assume, next year with a little more seasoning. Whether or not they're going to give him that kind of time, if it was me, I don't give him that kind of time. I wouldn't have hired him last offseason. I've said this before on the show. Me as a head coach, I want people who've already been there, done that, going through growing pains on their own somewhere else. I don't want to, or I don't have time to train them because I know how fragile each NFL season or coaching season can be, not necessarily the NFL. You don't have time for people to grow up. You need people to already be grown up when they take that job. Big Eddie, the Vikings will throw a bag of cash at Flores to keep him. No way they want to see him with us twice a year. Yeah, you're probably not wrong there. It's going to be a bidding war for him, Todd Bowles. Man, maybe you get Don Capers to come back, although, he's pretty long there in the tooth. Kerry, morning, everyone. Back at you. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan LaDuca. What a team. What podcast. Exclamation point. What a time. Be a Lions fan. Woo! Good to see you, Henry Moore, Senior. Trey, what's good, everybody? Question mark. Both have a lot of experience and would bring some needed changes. I think so, too. I'm a big fan of aggression. Offensively, defensively. That's why I really would like Flores or somebody similar to that. Until then, I love Shep. But if you can get either of those two guys, you have to. Loyalty to players and coaches is great, but we want to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a job. It is a profession. You can have your loyalties, but if you own a business, how long will you stay intrinsically tied to a friend or somebody you're fond of while it's seeing your business go down and crash? Probably not that long if you want to keep the business going. Jess, greetings, salutations, Duku. Anyone else feel like Campbell looked defeated yesterday? That's been talked about a little bit as of late, and good eyes with that. The only thing I can say, and I know I've mentioned it, we've all talked about it on the show before, is that for about a month and a half or 2 months, in my opinion, every presser, you could see a little less energy, a little bit more wear on MCDC. And, if you haven't coached, it's hard to really put it into words what you go through, how impactful emotionally losses are, especially at the level he's at. You understand how many people are constantly coming at you, your kids, your wife when she's at the grocery store, your kids in school. I mean, you guys know that people have gone to MCDC's houses and stuff like that and, messed with them. It's a taxing job unlike many others I've ever experienced. Dilla, honestly, if this current team had a better offensive line, a few less injuries, and the Philadelphia game defense, it would have been 11-5 or better right now. I agree with you fully. The difference between an 11-win team, to your point, Attila, and where we're currently at is really only a couple plays. You get a couple of these games that came down to last-second situations, like the Philadelphia game. Maybe you could say Kansas City. I don't know, man. Maybe you can throw one of the Green Bay games in there. definitely the Pittsburgh Steelers game. You could have easily, changed the fortunes of this particular season. Drake Morning, how far off do we really think we are from being back on top next year? Not much, but where we need to get better. The hard part is everybody in front of us, they're going to try to get better too. We got some people that are going to take some time to get back, if they get back at all, with Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph. Getting those two back alone, how much different is the defense? Aleem McNeil, assuming his knee gets even stronger, he gets back into shape a little bit more productive. I mean, he's been a no-show this year. If he can get back to Aleem McNeil next year, how much better now does the defense look with those three guys back? And that's the question we'll have to wait and see to get the answer for. Dylan, if the mock draft, if they draft my mock, sign my free agents, and get better coordinators, they win the Super Bowl. I like the way you are thinking, my friend. Dave, until the hunt, just a few things go different. And yes, I think our season gets to the playoffs. That hopefully what a fourth place schedule will help us with. So for those who don't know, your fourth place, your third place, your first place, whatever you're at the schedule wise, it really comes down to basically impacting 3 games. Those 3 games, in my point, let me know your point. Look at this year. Let's just say there are 3 teams that you could beat. Well, you take 3 potential losses off, you add 3 wins. We're at 8 wins right now. We're at 11 with those. Does that impact the season schedule? Quite a bit. So forget about the schedule. Everything I said, and this team would be 13-4 next season. Let's make it happen. France, Jess, I felt that was about that way about MCDC for a while now. Looks and sounds like he is out the door ready for Texas. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, he's from Texas. Yeah, maybe he's ready to take a little vacation there. Carrie, let's just hope whoever gets the position knows our divisional opponents like the back of their hands. Yeah, start with your division, because that's the one thing you can't control. It's not switching from year to year. If you can confuse and confound those teams, you'll be able to do it to the other teams that have less experience with you. Susan, if we're going to keep Goff, then getting the line back to being a strength needs to be number one. Can't give 70 and not have a line. Yeah, 70 million on a line. There you go. Dilla, biggest misses, a quality center, Kirby, Terrian, and Laporta injuries. Man, I forgot about even Laporta or Brock Wright. Would have had 3 more wins, and this season would be 11-5 currently. Yeah, the fact that you lost Laporta in the following week, you lost Brock Wright. I mean, that just decimated the tight end positional group. And, just at that point in the year, it's hard to find quality replacements. Dillahunt, MCDC takes everything personal and wears his emotions on the sleeves. I agree with that fully. It is why we love him. If he didn't care, then I would be worried. I'll go with that. Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Good morning, Bo and Mr. Henry Moore. Until Hunt, Jared Goff isn't getting $70 million this season. His contract is structured for restructuring. I would agree with that. Now, do I think they get it down to probably like $45 million? I think that's a possibility. I think that's a strong possibility. Plus, Goff has gone on record, although you can say one thing and do something different. I do take him at his word with this. He's more worried at this point in his career about winning and having a chance to get the Super Bowl. I still think it eats at him getting traded from LA. I think it eats at him that Stafford got Goff's, quote, Super Bowl. So will Goff step to the table, really kind of embrace Detroit even more by saying, hey, I'm going to shave, $20 million off my contract. Let's go use that to get a center and maybe something else for the team. We'll wait and see. Silver, good morning, Coach Shane. Good morning, every single Lions fan. Back at you, my friend, as always. Mentioned you during the mock draft I put out yesterday. I don't remember off the top of my noggin the running back's name, but a late round pick. Check it out. And yes, I think he'd be right up your alley. Johnny, good morning, folks. Good morning, Johnny. Boom. On the job training, OJT is something what needs supervision. Shep had who? He learned under Aaron Glenn for a little bit, but was that enough to get him ready? One could question that. 5 years ready. I hope Jared Goff will agree to restructure. Me too, my friend. Until a week after he signed people who knew contracts pointed out he would be restructuring this offseason, so I trust the experts. Yeah, probably wise move there. We'll see what he does. Jessica, it's sad the season is ending. It is, but let's be fair. In the NFL, the season never really ends. The play on the field ends. But when our season comes to a conclusion, we only got a couple months until free agency. And then after free agency, you got a month until the draft. And then after the draft, you got about 2.5 months until training camp. So it does fly right by. Queen Mary, good morning, Duke. Happy Tuesday and blessings to be here once again. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Jen, good morning all. Exclamation point. Looks like house cleaning to get that grit back. Might have to do a little bit of cleaning for sure. Hoodoo, I agree with you both. Maybe bring someone in to give Shep a little help. Hey, sometimes it's good to get a little help from your friends. Henry Moore, good morning. Hoodoo, Steve Rogers. In your opinion, both Morton and Shep didn't work out. Could be some evidence of that. Hoodoo, I was just thinking the same thing. Just Johnny L. Who's that in the picture? Now you know, and knowing he's at the battle. Patrick, I like your mock, Coach Stan. Hey, thank you. And again, if you didn't check it out yesterday, check it out today. I did it as if I was running the Lions. So I know some people are going to say, hey, this trade would never happen, that trade would never happen. The computer or simulator threw out trades. I judged them all individually, whether they made sense or not, and went from there. I do think the Lions, whether they're 12th in the draft, 18th in the draft, or somewhere in between, they're going to be in one of the most prime positions to make trades, at least in the first round. Maybe you can say that for the second round. Troy, other than me on the couch, who else will sit down for the Bears? We'll find out. Hookadoo, Queen Mary and Johnny L, time to rebuild some grit, exclamation point. Henry Moore, hey, good morning, Queen Mary, Jessica, and Johnny L, all the above. Johnny, good morning, Hookadoo. Henry, and Queen Mary and Jessica. Queen Mary, good morning, Hookadoo, and Johnny L. I hate being late. Not wrong with that, man. You weren't that late. You were actually before the show started. Cynthia, good morning, all. Cynthia and everybody else, Queen Mary, as long as you show up, you're never late. Ooh, I like that one. See, Henry, good morning, Cynthia. A grit-filled day to you. Good morning, Cynthia. King SJ, good morning, Coach Ducro. Back at you, my friend, as always. Henry Moore, I was saying the same thing. Johnny L, Silver Sir. Hey, Coach, I like that big offensive tackle you drafted yesterday. Better late than never. But they were really counting on Manu to grow into left tackle. I wonder if they give him another shot at offensive guard, needs to play more. I think the big question is, could he be a right tackle, him or Frazier? Let's just, figure this out for a second. Let's assume Decker, Glasgow retired, move Panay over to left tackle. That way you don't have to grow a left tackle. Even if you draft somebody, number 12, 15, or whatever, it's going to be a rookie. It's going to take a little time to grow. So if that's true, if you move Panay over, do you have to worry about that? Probably not. The left guard, I think they're going to keep with Mahogany. I liked what I've seen. Doesn't mean he can't get better. But you know what? Another year, does he get better? And then right guard, I think most would say Ratledge should fill in there. Although Dan Campbell did mention the presser, they are not ruling out moving him to center. Let's just assume for now they keep him at guard. And that means you got to get a center. And who's your right tackle? Could it be Frazier? Could it be Manu? Could it be Skipper? Could it be somebody you draft? If that all holds true, then you really only need to get the center position. And if Ragnow was to come back, that offense line could be pretty back to, I'm not going to say top 3 in the league, but pretty good, pretty quick. And that would free up a lot of firepower in free agency or the draft to really focus on, I think, the defense. We'll see what they do, though. Let's see, Hookadoo. Cynthia, top of the morning, young lady. I agree. Cynthia, good morning, Queen Mary and Henry. Henry Moore, good morning, Silver. Good to see you this wonderful morning. This is fun. Gotta have fun. Hey, Hookadoo. Johnny L. Ouch. I did a bit of my tongue. Hey, sorry you bit your tongue. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Finish strong this year. As an athlete and as a coach, that's what I would say. Go out and just try to win against the Chicago Bears. You're going to feel a whole lot better going into that offseason saying, man, see, we got 9 wins. We beat the division winner twice. 1 or 2 things go differently. We could have been in the playoffs. And I'd rather have that, to be honest, than the 12th pick. I'd rather have the 17th pick than the 12th pick in that scenario. Johnny L., good morning, Stephanie. How was your day yesterday in this weather? Oof, I can only imagine. Jen, on spot on today, 100%. Silver, good morning, Mary, Cynthia, Tori, Jessica, and all the fellows as well. So, good morning, Johnny L. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Finish strong. SISU. I don't know that one, Courtney. You're going to have to help me out there. Hey, more. Good morning, Super Trooper Stephanie. Dennis, good morning, Dan Duke Crew family. Keith, run that like button up. Yes, if you guys can, hit the like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you, Keitho. Look at Dan. How much snow did you end up from the storm? I went out and shoveled before the show yesterday, and then after the show, and then I did it a few hours later, and then a couple hours after that. So how much in totality? I'm guessing probably 8 inches, somewhere around there. Queen Mary, what do you guys think about Coach Dan's mock draft yesterday? I guess let me know, guys. I know I talked about it with a few of you guys in the comment section. Oh, gosh, now I got to remember his name. Linebacker from Ohio State. Used to be a safety, 6'4". Starts with an S. Not Shep, but, Sharp or something like that. In an ideal world, if the Lions are picking anywhere around 15, that's who I'm taking because he can play safety, he can play nickel corner, he can play linebacker, he can cover, he's fast, and he's big. That's who I'd take, but I think the number one priority, like some of you guys already pointed out, you got to fix the offensive line because if you're going to invest all that into Gibbs and the wide receivers and Laporta and let alone your quarterback Goff, then you need to make that positional group right. Cynthia, good morning, Silver. Did you surf? We'll find out. Carrie, nobody can predict injuries or death, and nobody can predict would A, could A, should A. But both Misters were good. That you need an experience-proven edge opposite Hutch, and you're done. Yeah, could be. Yeah, I think if they get something like that and then keep Muhammad as a rotational piece, then, maybe that defense line ain't looking so bad. Michael, good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke crew. Woo! Back at you. What do you got? 2001, if you want a proven OC, get Brian Calhoun or Brian Dable. Dable play action heavy while Calhoun is pass creative heavy. Both of those guys, I think, will be on the table. There'll be a few people. And if you're an offensive-minded coach, you look at the Detroit Lions situation. You've got a veteran, experienced quarterback. You got a ton of options at wide receiver. I'm going to assume both the tight ends come back. I do think you're probably on borrowed time with David Montgomery for multiple different reasons. The fact that he's a top 8 paid running back, but he's getting bottom 75% of the league in snaps. He's probably gone. And that's why I drafted the one running back in the mock draft yesterday. But I think that would be an ideal situation for most OCs to say, yeah, that's where I want to work because I can revitalize my career in a hurry. All right, same old soup. Good morning, Coach Dan. Duke Crew, back at you. Queen Mary, good morning, Carrie. And I do agree with you. JK, Lions was redirected to Pro Bowl instead of Super Bowl. You're not wrong there. Brian, we were bamboozled. I was told we'd be relevant, and here we are not relevant. I would disagree, Brian. I think we are relevant, but we had some things go against us. A difference between an 11-win team and an 8-win team really is just a couple plays. That's my opinion. Don't need to be yours, my friend. Derek, hey, Coach, where do you think Goff will restructure his contract? They'll probably wait for the start of the new calendar NFL season. So March, I'll say. So the MCDC may be cleaning house. I think as a head coach, you have to make some tough choices. And you have to say, if we can sign one of these other guys, is it an upgrade to the team? Can't worry about friendships. Can't worry about any of that stuff. You have to make the most, calculated choice for the organization, your team. At the end of the day, that's what matters the most. Jim, could be Dable be our OC? Could be. Brian Dable? Yeah. Let's see. Brian, give Shep a chance and a better defense. If he gets everybody healthy, I think that's where you got a great question there, Byron. He was kind of short-staffed. I think we all get it with that secondary. The front seven stayed surprisingly healthy. But how much different would it have looked? Would it look more like it did against Philadelphia or some of the other teams? That's something that MCDC's got to decide. Thomas Body slammed the like, yo. Thank you for that. Gun guy, Goff is better than Stafford. Could be accurate. Jimmy, good morning, Coach Dan Ducro. How's everyone doing this cold, frigid morning? Hopefully pretty good. How you doing? Gary, agreed. Toyota Tundra. There we go. Byron. But if you could ask me, I'll go after former coaches of the Lions. That's on the Bears. It could be. Let's see. Tom, the offensive line needs to be addressed, number one. Yeah, that's as much as I like, and I can't remember the Ohio State linebacker's name, the 6'4" kid off the top of my noggin, but as much as I want him on the team, offensive line is probably where they probably go, or defensive line, I guess. Aaron, wow, look at this table of grit is certainly getting big. You got to like that. Ron, great salutations, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. I don't trust MCDC or Clarence Ben Holmes. All right. Brian, Lions stop hiring guys with no experience or barely any. That's the teams trying to win 5 games. Correct with that. Queen Mary, good morning, James. All is well with the house. Let's hope so. Thomas, Chuck may be a great guy, but was totally out-coached in over half of the games. Sad part, a healthy front seven. What happened to the run stopping? I think a lot of it, just my opinion, Thomas, for what's worth, some schematic structure. The run defense went down when they stopped focusing so much on that and try to open up a little bit more to get at the quarterback. We remember with the Giants game and somebody else after the Giants, we just were not getting any pressure to the quarterback. So they made some changes. But those changes, at least from what I could see, meant more of the safeties coming in and helping stop the run. Unfortunately, the safeties did not do a great job. Earl, good morning. Back at you, Earl. Good to see you, my friend. Silver and Cynthia, I only surf the Cosmo deer. I leave that deep water to the fishes. Okay, JK, secondary was top 32, I'm hearing. All right, we'll find out. Life lessons, I think to fire our defense coordinator would be a joke. Allow that man more time. Could be what they do. Brian Flores would be two on my list. Okay. Amy, good greetings, salutations, Duke Crew, and our amazing coach Dave. Exclamation point. Well, we are off in the off season, and the rumors and soap opera starts until the first preseason game. Definitely is an ice cold morning. Everyone stay safe. And back at you, Amy. Good to see you this morning. Let's get him help. Probably, whoever you're going to get in there, you're going to need some pieces. I think we all agree with that. Courtney, Flores is a bid up to $8 million. Dallas wants him. I think a lot of teams want him. And again, you're bringing a particular style defense that just really takes some game planning in your 3 to 4 walkthroughs before that game to get right. And if you don't have a solid offensive line, yeesh. Let's see, Jimmy, I don't think Kelvin Shep'S needs more time. Wasn't Aaron Glenn in the same situation earlier for the Lions resurgence? Probably accurate. Henry, good morning. Amy, let's see, Jay Brinkley, 9. Injuries have to be addressed. 13 guys injured on the sideline watching and getting paid mid-year, and the rest of the way has to stop. Great deal if you can get it mindset. Yes, indeed. Amy, good morning. Henry, exclamation point. Pierce, MCDC needs to change the way he practices. That's something I think they're going to have to look at. Not that every NFL team doesn't have injuries, but you've got to do what you can to keep your product on the field, and that's where it's not happening. Thomas, I do have to admit, with MCDC going for it on fourth down 90% of the time, Shep was forced into doing things that didn't help. MCDC not taking field goals when available in the first half. Yeah, second half of the year, I feel like he kind of calmed down on that. But the first half of the season, I think you're right with that. Pierce, if we can't be top 2 in back years in injuries, no, you got to fix that from repeating next year. Jimmy, Dan and Brad need to replace both coordinators after the season. Some are going in there anymore. There isn't a salary cap for coaches. That I know, and everyone has a price. Everybody's got a price of the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Pierce, we need Brian Dable. Thomas, every team has injuries. Exclamation point. We just played a team with 3 backups on their offensive line. We did. Pierce, when he was in Buffalo, that was their best offense. Okay. Brian, get Brian Flores, get somebody with a proven record and personality. Now, I don't remember well, but he was bringing everybody in court for some job-related stuff. Yeah, Flores, I don't remember the full particulars of it, but yeah, a few seasons ago, obviously, it's not a situation anymore. At least doesn't appear to be. Pierce Thomas, we were top 2 in injuries. Yeah, I want to say for the second or third straight year, something like that. We're going to the question, I will have the NFL let the Lions get to the promised land, and we'll all seen the Zebras in New York mess over the Lions. We have seen that, yes. Riley, good morning, Dan, and Duke Crew and Coach Dan. I'll get a hold of you, Riley. Maybe we can get you on Thursday. I think that's what you said for your schedule. Gary, agreed. Pierce, Jay Brinks, when not 13 starters hurt every year, they don't. We have a problem. Got to fix the problem. 2001, if Todd Bowles gets fired, do everything you can to bring him here. Todd Bowles, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And we're all bemoaning our situation in Detroit. Look at the Buccaneers. They've lost something like 7 straight games or 8 of 7, something like that down the stretch. And not that we're that far off it, but, man, you went from being division leader and everything else to just something really went wrong this season in Tampa Bay. JK, second injuries. Geez, no wonder we're not good. See, Detroit, if we get Flores, I'd take him. I've already spoken my piece on that, and I agree. Pierce, Carey, and DDI needs to go. I think he will probably go. Pierce, if Brad brings DDI back, we are getting trolled. I can't wait for that episode if it happens. Jay Brinks, yep, too many players watching hurt. I guess not playing good at all. You can get it. Yes, indeed. Leonard, there are no offense or defense corners that will shine without healthy bodies. You're not wrong there. We need to stay healthy. 2 years of injuries, this should also be. John Bowles' son played for the University of Michigan, but might be attractive for him to let the Bucs if the Bucs let him go. Yeah, he's going to be looking for some. I know there's a lot of respect between him and Dan Campbell, so that may also be a contributing factor. Kerry, agreed again, Pierce? Again, agreed, Pierce, excuse me. Thomas, Pierce thinks injuries. We're told next man up right now. Excuses. Well, doesn't matter, right? Just saying. Jay Brinks would love to have easily won a Super Bowl last year. We would have easily won the Super Bowl last year. The players were actually playing. I think you're spot on with that. If we would have had the vast majority of the injured players out there, I do think we would have won the Washington game. After that, who really knows? You play the next game, the team in front of you. Kim, Shep has struggled this year, but it's not realistic to expect some slippage. Look at how fans ranted against AG. Yeah, AG got a lot of bemoaning, and I know they're speculating it in New York about him getting canned after 1 year. I don't think it's going to happen, but I guess let me throw this out there. Let's just assume for a second the Jets didn't move off Aaron Glenn. Do you bring him back to Detroit? Pierce Davenport had a apartment in the ER at Henry Ford Hospital. Might be accurate. Preferred seating, I would refer to it. Summer Server Thomas, our coach has a distinct personality, but with his gambling habits, the fact that he run up the score multiple times when unnecessary, I think he might have burnt this team out. Maybe. Okay, though, Flores would be insane if we got him. If I was Sheila, open up that checkbook. Man, I would probably do a whole lot to get him because I do like the guy. Kim, unrealistic. Michael, I hope Brad is done with project players and stop the injury-prone players. That's going to be the difference maker. So I can only tell you what I think, and I could be completely wrong with this. I do think the 24 draft probably bombed out for the Lions, ways of going about things. I think they revisited that and said, all right, we need to stop doing it. While this year's draft, the 2025 draft, I think they went back to the prior formats for drafting. Less gambles, less projections, more guys that, hey, they're fitting in for this role. I look at this year's draft. I think it's a win. We'll find out in the next 2 years. But do I think Williams is going to pan out? Yes. Do I think Ratledge is going to pan out? Yes. Do I think Tesla? Yes. Frazier? Yes. Love it. We'll see. He's got all the tools. Just needs a little bit more seasoning. And then Hassanin, we'll wait and see. Jackson, the safety that got hurt before everything even went going, very athletic, doesn't have a lot of experience. He's somebody that could be a bit of a reach, but, if you're going to make a reach late in the draft, I guess I'd go for things I can't teach. Size, speed, athleticism, desire, stuff like that, and then try to coach them up from there. Now, I know it sounds cruel, but we need to replace coordinators. If we can find somebody better to do the job, if they get a chance to improve themselves, there is no loyalty to the Lions. To your point, and it's one of the realities of being a coach, or probably anybody who runs an organization. Can you make your business better by adding this to it, even though you have to let go of that? I love Shep. I think John Morton's probably an outstanding human being. Doesn't mean that we can't upgrade beyond them. And anytime you sign on the dotted line to coach, you have to understand every university, college, professional team, if they feel like they can upgrade over you, they're going to do it. And they're not going to worry about it. Gary, Davenport stayed healthy and played with himself. Okay, Brinks, 100%. Michael, Kim, if it's can't live on ifs. No, you can't. JK, so basically it looks like the Lions were ready this season, but they really weren't like putting a clean blanket over dirty laundry. To your point, JK, I think a lot of it is Dan Campbell is an incredibly loyal person. He believes he can fix any player, coach them on up, make them be the best they can be. Probably the same true with their coordinators. Hey, they're going to be fine. I believe in these guys. And that's probably the biggest hurdle in my opinion, he's going to have to overcome. Step back from being, everybody's favorite coach or whatever, your best friend, and you have to make some cold, calculated decisions. And this is going to probably be one of the most emotionally challenging off seasons of his life, because when you're a player, it's different. Somebody else has to make those calls. When you're a positional coach, somebody else has to make those calls. You're not that situation anymore. You are the head coach. And I can only tell you from personal experience, it sucks having to fire somebody who's your best friend or somebody you have the utmost respect for, because they're just not doing that job right. And you lose a lot of friends. If you want everybody to like you, don't become a head coach, because you know what? The players that you have to cut, move off, not re-sign new contracts, the coaches you have to fire, they're not going to have that same feeling about you as when you drafted them or hired them. And it stinks. Amy, I agree. Hookadoo. The NFL and referees, New York, and betting houses from Vegas definitely impacted our team's chances. Probably do agree. Yeah, 100% there, Amy. Well, good morning, Coach Daniel Duke Crew. Woo! Back at you, Thomas SS. I read that statement for sure. The way I would go about this offseason, get a committee, yes, no from Rags. Yeah, commitment, excuse me. Yes, no from Rags. Yeah, if you could get him to agree to come back, that would be huge. If he comes back, draft all D, free agent offensive line. Yeah, probably what I would do. I like the way you're thinking, Thomas. Robert, I wish we would bring back Jim Schwartz back as defense coordinator. Now, that's an idea. Would he be willing to do it? I don't know, but I like Jimmy Schwartz. As a human being, he was fun as heck to interview, got his own ways, didn't mince words, but from a defense coordinator spot, yeah, I think he would be on the list with Flores or Bulls. I think he knows what he's doing. JK, they. All right, Cynthia, I'm with you. Silver, Silver, what do you got? Pierce, they're not bringing Davenport back. If they do, I'll be shocked. Don't know if Lions in clean-up mode yet. They won't hurt them enough buddy feelings if they even quit. All right, keep doing. Robert, I would like Schwartz back as defense coordinator. Yeah, he would not be a bad option, I think at least. Nogay, proven OC in DC or bust. I like the way you're thinking. Thomas, Robert Chuck, exclamation point. Yes, that would not be a bad choice. Dunkong, free agent center and first round right tackle or bust. I know Pierce threw it out there, and I think a few of you guys also did. If the Ravens move off their center, man, that would not be a bad get. And would Jared Goff say, hey, if you go get that dude, yeah, I'll restructure my contract, basically give you the money to sign him. Gerald, what do you got? At least there is no salary cap for the coordinators. This is correct there. Brian, I think Shep'S stays, so does our bad defense and play call. We'll find out. Lee, no way Shep leaves. It just won't happen, but a new OC looks inevitable. Yeah, I agree with you there, 1,000%. Thomas, if contracts dictate play starters first quarter, the rest of the game, all future players get snaps. Yeah, could be what they do. JK, I swear if they bring back Davenport, I hope someone calls on Brad to send a well check on him. Okay, life lessons. I think offensive line caused all the problems we had this year. A whole lot of them, right? Lions are built to play with a lead. Yes, indeed. Well said. Ron, Shep doesn't know how to make adjustments. Keith, though, yes, I don't see Shep leaving. I want a better DC. Pierce, as far as starters go for Sunday, get the guys their bonuses and get them out of there. We'll find out. Let's see, Jay Brinkley, 13 injuries by mid-year. Last 2 years has to be addressed. Get starters, and then we lose at the end due to everybody watching hurt on the sidelines for great seats. Yes, indeed. Don Kong, proven DC and OC or bust. I like the way you're thinking. Motor City Paulie, this is an interesting conversation, but we really shouldn't be scapegoating Shep. Next 2 games that we lost because of our defense, no issue all season long has been the offensive line. Yeah, the issue all season long has been the offensive line and a lot of different stuff. I do think if it's me, and I'm assuming the Lions in this regard, if you're really going to pay St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Gibbs, and Goff all that money, you got to fix that line. Otherwise, your returns on the rest of those groups really go downhill. I want to say, Paulie, should we throw Hank Fairley under the bus now? He's probably going to get some scrutiny for sure because the offensive line hasn't played well. Same as the quarterback coach or anything else. You know, it happens. So, I am for 2 new proven strong coordinators right away. The buddy system, I don't believe in. I believe in the freaking respect system. It should not and will not be my boss's friend. There you go. All right, guys, we only got like 2 minutes left. I'm going to power on and get people on who haven't been on as much. Sanders, Brad won't pay for talent. What makes you think he'll pay for a defense coordinator? Talent costs us this season. I'm hoping, Sanders, to your point, it's more Sheila saying, hey, go do it. Let's see, Cynthia, I wonder if the House will pay big money for a Highlanded OC or DC coach. We'll find out. I just want a great OC. Shep can stay. Keithel, I don't want to hear next year we're good at the trade deadline. Ooh, extreme shaft. Are the Lions the best team not making the playoffs? I think there's some conversation for that, for sure. All right, looking for people who haven't been on as much. JK, the crumbled Lions this season, let's see how they fix the offseason. Going to have to see it, for sure. Dre Day, all players who can play need to play. If they can play and they don't, then cut them. The team needs to show care through the entire season, regardless if they can't get in the playoffs. I like the way you're thinking. It's just whether or not Brad has that same opinion, I think is what it comes down to. Kim, part of the scheme goes to MCDC. He really said they are a man defense that has limits on having to make subs. Yes, indeed. Let's see, Kerry, if you guys want to pay the bonus money, that's on them to sign a waiver. Otherwise, give practice squad players reps and experience. Okay. Looking for more people. Haven't been on as much. Keith, though, Goff needs to ask to be traded because of no trade clause. Yes, he would have to agree to a trade. Well, to your point. Thomas Donkey, I agree 100%. So, right, Dre Day. Other people haven't been on. Don't sit down for it. We'll see what they do there, man. Keith, curious to see their priorities. Leonard, 100%. Home stop cooking. Too many hurt acquisitions, maybe 10%. Hurt free agents were able to stay healthy. That's on Brad Holmes. Needs to stay all world strength and coordinated coaches and priority. Yes, indeed, on all those. General Goff is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I agree. He does not. He does need a great line in front of him. But how many quarterbacks don't? I would fully agree with that. Do have to restructure his contract. And it does sound like you're probably going to do that. GSS Green Sanitations Coach and Duke Crew. Exclamation point. I want to wish Happy New Year to you all and back at you, my friend. Eddie, I think the Lions have a lot of holes to fill. Offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback. Probably true on all of that. Leave Goff alone. He's not the problem. I fully support that. Jay Branks, we need to be a big-time edge rusher to help Hutch. See if we can do that. Riley, agreed until the hunt Detroit. Jackie Smith, Goff is our quarterback number one for as long as he wants to be. He's not the problem. I agree with that. Real Andre, I agree. Thomas, Queen Mary, I would like to see them get some help. I'm sticking with him. Everybody has learning curves. I'm sure y'all have their hands, whoever it is in life or a job. We all have them. Yeah, learning opportunity for sure. Dennis, I know it will not be a popular statement, but I think we could trade one of our top receivers, get a powerhouse for our offensive line. The others and Goff will eat defenses if Goff has time. Could be where they go. Don't call Muhammad disappeared in like 10 separate games. Kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know if it was that knee with him or what it was, but when he was on, he was on. Josh, what got to look at was changes this year on the offense coordinator, center, and right guard. That's what needs to be fixed, although I think right guard will be better with Mahoney and Frazier coming back, probably. Let's see, Pat. I think this last game, Tesla will get some balls his way. Probably accurate. JD, what up, though, Coach? And Happy New Year. It could be worse. We could be the Colts, unbeaten for nearly half the season and didn't make the playoffs. That's terrible. But no one is talking about that. Yeah, and now they don't have first-round pick for, 2 years or something like that? So, to your point, you're spot on. Max, why would Flores leave the Vikings? Probably just chasing cash. That's the only thing I can think of, Max. And Max Money, yeah, there you go. Johnny Gas, good morning. Dan the Duke Crew, back at you, Gas Man. Let me know when you can come back on the show, my friend. It's been a hot second. Keith, the defense of Kelvin Shep'S and the Lions defense coordinator and secondary was injured all season. I do think that there was no DC that can coach a defense with those injuries. Maybe indeed. I don't know. Hishar with the button, I don't know. Kerry, wow, no. Let's see. Miller, what do you got? Get Ragnar back. First thing that should happen. Fan base would be more settled if that happens. It would be a psychological boost for the whole team. Yeah, and it would allow you to free up some stuff to invest in other situations. Let's see, Coach Tony K. Hey, Coach and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Haven't been on to post for some reason, but I'm here now. Well, welcome back, my friend. And touch crowd, Keith. Byron, I'll go about the Carlton Davis again. We definitely miss him in the back with Kirby Joseph and Brian. Yeah, I agree with you there. Lauren, good morning, Duke Crew. I'm late, but I made it. Hey, thank you for making it, as always, my friend. Jackie Smith, I would like to see us go out there and kick the Bears' butts. Just because the season's over doesn't mean we couldn't just give up. Yeah, to your point, could be kind of like our Super Bowl for sure. Derek, I don't know why we want to insist that Ratledge play center. The man doesn't want to play center. He's not ready for such a huge responsibility, in my opinion. Yeah, we'll see what they do this offseason. I don't fully know for sure. Brian, do you think we are not using Monty much because we're going to trade him? It's possible. Only the team could really answer that one. Leonard, without an offense line to protect Goff and open holes for Gibbs and Monty, it would be the same next year. Probably a lot of truth there. Kevin Zeitler wasn't either. Yeah, he didn't have a great year in Tennessee. I know his performance went down this year, to your point. Mock draft, baby. It's already out there. Go check it out. I love the season. Well, you'll be happy then. Bucky time, sell the team. Let's see if they do. I doubt they will, though. Belt up. DC, what about OC? We had a video up a couple days ago about that, but I do think they're going to move on and get somebody new. Dennis, how about a trade for Max and Junkins for the first and Montgomery? Could be. I know it didn't really set well with Max Crosby, sitting him down the last two games. I understand why the Raiders did it, but the coaches and players have a very different opinion on when that happens. 100% Brian, or hiring within. Keith, though, I forget about Levi. Yeah, Levi, big swing and a miss there, unfortunately, this year. JK, good job, Vegas. Belt up. If they fire Shep, Aaron Glenn will be glad to hire him. Might be true. Let's see. Kerry, get an experienced edge opposite Hutch. Pay Rags, come back. Get a tackle, center, corner, a linebacker, and get Brian Dable. We'll see if they do all that. JC, I'd keep Shep, bring in some recently fired defensive head coach as an assistant. That way you don't block any cash they have coming in from being fired. To work with him on making adjustments to plan. Yeah, maybe that's some good ideas from the dude. All right, one or two more, then I got to go and get ready for work. Josh, I'm all about getting established coordinators. These fans are not going to tolerate another losing season. Yeah, and that's probably what they've got to think about in Detroit. Todd, keep Shep for another year. JK, got you damn crazy. Hey, sometimes it's good to be crazy. Hammer, have a glorious day to all my friends. May you new year be glorious. We'll see you next time, my friend. Happy day, Henry, says Queen Mary. Josh, I'll take a coordinator that knows what they're doing for someone learning on the fly. The Origin is going to get a ton down of we think next year. That's my big worry. I'm trying to keep everybody's jobs. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Do not keep Shep. He's just going 2.0. Not good. Mass Tom, what do you got? What about Wink Martindale for defense coordinator? Ooh, I don't know enough about him. I know probably a lot of you guys who are Michigan fans know more about him than I do. I don't have enough opinion to offer one thing or another on it. Coach Campbell had a hard year, praying for him and his team. At least address the issues we had this year and have a better year, but it'll take time for the fans. I said fans have to say a lot. Yeah, I'll go with that. Gary, watch what happens with Michigan now. Okay. Brian, 3 wins or 9-win season is the same. You missed the playoffs. Probably accurate. Belt up. There was nothing wrong with Aaron Glenn's defense. We forgot that he was 15-2 last year. Gary, Glenn isn't leaving the Jets, you crazy people. Yeah, not unless they boot him out the door. Yeah, to the Bears when they lose. Anybody else? Myself is winking. Martindale. Okay. Happy day, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Be blessed. Be blessed indeed. Hookadoo. We are the same page, Mary. Hey, it happens. Martindale. All right. And then Mikey Blue. What do you got? The expensive players with giant contracts. Sit plus as many players as you have coming back. We'll see what they do. All right, guys, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the ones. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Take care and do something kind for somebody you don't know. And we'll see you guys all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. Have a phenomenal day. Which one are we going to end with? Let's go with this.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.